Today we're talking with Brent Dorfman, who's the Vice President of Innovation at Innotrac, and we talk a little bit about the recently ended Cyber Weekend and what he saw in terms of reporting back from their major retail clients. How are you doing today, Brent?
Doing great. How about you?
Very good, thanks. So talk to start off a little bit about, kind of in a general sense, what you saw and heard from your retail clients about their experience over Cyber Weekend. We're seeing a lot of reports about, just crazy numbers compared to 2014, and I'm guessing you saw a lot of the same.
Yeah, generally speaking, we saw the exact same thing you guys are hearing about. So we do entirely online orders with a little bit of ship from store. But as far as online shopping has gone, this was the biggest 4-day weekend that we've ever had, the biggest 4-day period we've ever had. So huge volume, much bigger than last year.
Okay, and related to that, talk about how much of the projected volume for the entire peak period that some of your clients experienced during that time. But when I understand that there was kind of blowout in terms of what was projected for the weekend and what it was against the entire projected volume for the holiday period.
Yeah, sure. It was, it was much bigger than anybody was forecasting overall. And we saw retailers during the 4-day period from Black Friday through Cyber Monday. We saw retailers that brought in 25% of their entire forecast for November and December. So huge volume coming in.
Right. And talk a little bit about what you saw, what you heard from clients as far as the things that drove these increases. Obviously, kind of the macro picture is better than it was last year. And as well, a lot of companies are much more prepared to deal with e-commerce, much more equipped in terms of the technology process and everything to handle that kind of volume.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was across the board. We saw very aggressive sales on price. We saw a huge increase in free shipping over Cyber Monday last year to this year. We saw companies that had infrastructure much better set up so that websites were stable and accepting orders the whole time. And then, like you said, 2015 has just been a bigger year for online shopping than 2014. But we also think from what we've seen that a lot of retailers stole even more units from their stores, even more sales from their stores than in previous years. So we think a lot of this is just more and more shoppers going online this time of year.
Okay, and also, can you break down a little bit what you experienced from clients as far as the difference between, say, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday in terms of the volume? From what I'm understanding, Cyber Monday was far and away the biggest, but what did you see in terms of kind of the flow over the weekend and what you hear from clients?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole weekend is huge. Friday and Monday are the two biggest. I would say overall Monday was the biggest. We saw really massive volume on Monday, but Friday wasn't too far behind. They were both above forecast. With a couple of our clients, Friday was actually really, really big, bigger than Monday. But yes, you're right. Overall, Monday was the biggest day of the weekend.
Another thing is that we saw a lot of was retailers that kind of pushed back earlier than Thanksgiving in terms of promotions, specials, and offers, that kind of thing, to get a little bit of a running start up to the official start on Thanksgiving. Did you see that as well from your clients, or did they just kind of hold their fire and wait till Thanksgiving when kind of like the gun sounded?
Yeah, and it might be just who our clients are, but we didn't see a whole lot of that. We were expecting it. I think what we saw instead was pretty heavy communications that sales were coming, but they didn't open up the sales early. So really, coming late night Thursday and then into Friday was when the sales really started for our clients.
All right, and then lastly, just talk about what you're expecting from here on out. And obviously, this is kind of a lull period now we're experiencing, but what are you looking at in terms of like when you expect it and when you're hearing from customers when you expect it to start really kind of spiking up again as it kind of gets toward the end of the period?
Yeah, sure. So obviously this is still the busiest time of year. So these days coming up would be bigger than days in June or July. But what we typically see and what we expect to see this year is that huge spike around Thanksgiving weekend, and then a bit of a lull. And then once we get up towards shipping cutoffs, in order for customers to get their product before Christmas, we'll see another big spike. So that usually comes in the third week of December. around the 15th to the 20th, leading up into those cutoffs.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of cutoffs, there's a lot of talk about that in terms of retailers really trying to push it as far as they can to the edge in order to promise that if you order by the state, you'll get it on the 24th. But that can cause issues, obviously, on the fulfillment end. What are you hearing about in terms of where cutoffs are being set, and realistically, in order to kind of deliver on what they promise?
We see it all over the place. So a lot of retailers are still feeling burned from 2 years ago when they could not get Christmas orders in. We saw a bit of an overreaction last year with retailers cutting off even before the 15th. We're seeing it move a little bit further this year, but everyone's still really cautious. We don't know the full infrastructure capability of the shipping network. And these retailers are worried that even if they can get the order out the door, can UPS or FedEx get it there in time? And we saw 2 years ago that they always can't. So it's still being cautious. I'd say it's still earlier cutoffs than we saw a couple of years ago.
Terrific. Okay, well, Brent, listen, really appreciate you taking some time today and giving us a little insight into what you'd experienced from your retail clients over the weekend and looking ahead. Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.